Tonight, weather extremes. Disaster in the Midwest, floods swamp Iowa where the rain just won't stop. Violent storms strike several states with hail and more. While much of the country broils in heat.
I'm Chanel Call in New York City, where we could soon see a break from these oppressive temperatures.
Also tonight, with the war in Gaza grinding on, Israel takes aim at U.S. support.
I'm Yevgeny Tayev in Tel Aviv, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has doubled down on accusations the Biden administration is withholding weapons deliveries for Israel.
In another war zone, Russia and Ukraine this weekend trading attacks. Presidential debate, the first face-off of 2024, now 4 days away. Plus, price fight. Fast food chains update menus after your complaints.
I'm Kenny Choi in Los Angeles with the appetizing new deals in the battle for your buck.
And later, Gone Green. This popular old ride now powered by clean energy, and we're on board.
I'm Danya Backus in Napa Valley, where the wine train is going green.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Tonight, more than 1 million people are under flood warnings across the Midwest. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds calling the flooding in her state catastrophic. Drone footage right there shows some towns almost completely submerged. Days of heavy rain have forced evacuations and rescues in several states, some rivers at record levels. And there's no escaping the heat in much of the country. Look at that map. There have been at least 8 confirmed deaths so far. CBS's Chanel Call is in New York and tracking it all for us tonight. Chanel, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. And while relief is now finally in sight for millions of Americans who've been experiencing this unusually early heat wave for the last week, residents in the Midwest and the Plains are seeing a very different kind of extreme weather.
Record high floodwaters came fast in Rock Valley, Iowa.
I can tell you the devastation is severe and it's widespread.
Parts of the state saw nearly 6 inches of rain in just 24 hours. Flash flooding cut off power to wastewater treatment plants in at least 2 cities.
Every day it's wet and raining and raining and raining. I'm starting to build an ark at home.
In Minnesota, the Crow River is expected to reach record levels above 19 feet. The governor there is calling in the National Guard after days of severe weather turned cities into waterways. From extreme rain to extreme heat. The National Weather Service is issuing a heat advisory to more than 100 million Americans from coast to coast.
Very hot. It's too hot.
The nation's capital cracked the triple digits this weekend, the first time June temperatures have been that high. And in California, temperatures in some parts of the state could get as high as 106 degrees. Firefighters say the heat can make an already tough job that much more challenging.
We're also entering that season where things are just starting to dry out. I think it's going to be a very difficult year for us.
And Jerika, heat isn't the only weather-related issue happening here right now. An air quality advisory has been issued for 4 straight days, which means the level of air pollutants is so high it can be dangerous for sensitive groups. Jerika?
Yeah, so important to take this weather seriously. Chanel, thank you. For more on the extreme weather, let's check in with meteorologist Andrew Kozak with more. Andrew, what do you have?
Good evening, Jerika. You know, so many of us are sweltering for the 8th or 9th day in a row in some cases. We're going to start off with Southern California, where it could feel as hot as 115 for areas like Palm Springs through at least Thursday. And now the Midwest, from nearly the Canadian border all the way down to the Gulf Coast, could be feeling temperatures as hot as 110. And tonight, the East Coast is still looking at heat index values as high as 105 from New York to D.C. and all the way down to the Carolinas. Of course, we're also watching the massive Midwest flooding from Minnesota to Iowa to South Dakota. Floodwaters finally starting to recede after impacting millions of people. And then finally tonight on this Sunday evening, still watching severe weather in the Northeast, New England from New York all the way to Maine. Severe storms capable of producing tornadoes, large hail, and winds over 70 miles per hour. Jerika, no shortage of impactful weather this weekend and heading into next week.
All right, Andrew Kozak, thank you. Today, Saudi Arabia announced extreme heat made this year's Hajj pilgrimage a deadly one for more than 1,300 people. The pilgrimage ended last week. Temperatures to Mecca and other holy sites soared above 124 degrees. To Russia now. Tonight, at least 6 police officers and an Orthodox priest are dead after a series of attacks in the southern Republic of Dagestan. Gun battles raged in the streets of 2 cities as a synagogue, 2 churches, and a checkpoint were targeted. At least 6 police officers were killed. 25 others were wounded. Video from social media shows buildings on fire in both cities. The attackers have not yet been identified. Tonight, there are new signs of growing tensions in relations between the United States and Israel. CBS's MTS Tayeb is in Tel Aviv for us tonight with the details. MTS.
Good evening. Well, tonight, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is doubling down on his accusation the U.S. is withholding deliveries of weapons to Israel after making a similar claim just days ago. And as Israeli attacks across Gaza intensify. A warning, some of the images in this report may be hard to watch.
They are among the smallest survivors. Children covered in dust and blood, rescued from a collapsed building in the immediate aftermath of Israel's airstrikes on the Shati refugee camp near Gaza City on Saturday. In the light of day, the scale of the devastation was hard to fathom. Entire buildings pulverized. Dozens were killed and many more wounded in the massive attack that Israel insists targeted what it called 2 Hamas military infrastructure sites. America keeps telling Israel it must stop its attacks, said eyewitness Mohammed Madouk. But at the same time, America is giving Israel weapons that are being used against civilians. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has yet again accused the U.S. of withholding weapons shipments for Israel, telling his cabinet tonight the drop-in arms deliveries began 4 months ago without specifying which weapons. For weeks, we asked our American friends to speed up the shipments, he said. We did it time and time again. Netanyahu's repeated claims have sparked fury from his critics in Israel and have been met with confusion and denials from the White House, exposing what's been described as major tensions with the Biden administration. Tensions which are also growing over Israel's actions in the occupied West Bank. Following outrage over this video of Israeli soldiers driving with an injured Palestinian strapped to an army jeep, which a top UN official described as human shielding in action.
And in a statement, Israel's military said the incident violated protocol and was under investigation. But Israeli human rights groups say such behavior is rarely disciplined and that Israeli forces operate in a climate of impunity, Jerika, an allegation the military strongly denies.
All right, MTS, thank you. This weekend, Russia and Ukraine traded attacks as fighting in that war intensified. Debris from a Ukrainian missile attack on Crimea sent beachgoers scrambling. At least 6 people were killed. And in Ukraine, a security camera in Kharkiv captured the moment a Russian missile hit a residential building. At least 3 people died there. Tonight, police in suburban Detroit are calling the death of an officer shot and killed while pursuing a stolen car late Saturday an ambush. 3 suspects are now in police custody. Deputy Bradley Reckling was a 9-year veteran of the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. He was 30 years old and the father of 3 young children. His wife is expecting another child. Well, there's renewed hope tonight in the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. The congregation, joined by Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, marked the groundbreaking of a new complex. It replaces the synagogue where 11 worshipers were murdered in 2019 and the deadliest attack of anti-Semitism in U.S. history. Well, turning now to politics, the first presidential debate of 2024 is just 4 days away. CBS's Willie James Enman is at the White House with more on the candidates' preparations. A lot of people looking to their TV screens for this one, Willie.
Yeah, that's right, Jerika. Good evening to you. Both candidates are preparing for this big debate, but they're preparing in vastly different ways. And this comes as a new CBS News poll shows that some young voters feel that the candidates just don't understand them.
This week could be a make or break moment for the Biden and Trump campaigns.
Should I be tough and nasty and just say you're the worst president in history? Or should I be nice and calm and let him speak?
Trump was out and about this weekend campaigning in Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia, where he teased a potential pick for his ticket.
Do they know? No, nobody knows.
Among the possible candidates is North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, who said the Biden team is trying to lower expectations.
I think we're all anxious to see which Joe Biden is going to show up.
Joe Biden doesn't have any concerns about his mental fitness, nor do I.
President Biden is spending time at Camp David preparing for the upcoming debate with a team of current and former advisors. The president will stay at the presidential retreat until Thursday's debate, taking part in mock debate sessions led by former Chief of Staff Ron Klain. Both men will need to motivate key groups of voters, including those under 30, the majority of whom say Biden and Trump's age is a factor. While young voters prefer Biden, only 66% of registered young voters say they will definitely vote this year, compared to 94% of those 65 and older, while 48% of those under 30 say neither candidate understands younger people.
And it could be a blockbuster news week, Jerika. In addition to the debate, we're also waiting for a decision from the Supreme Court on Trump's presidential immunity claims. Jerika.
Such a busy week. Willie James Inman, thank you. You can watch the presidential debate hosted by CNN this Thursday right here on CBS. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. On the CBS Money Watch this week, McDonald's is launching a new meal deal as fast food restaurants nationwide react to pressure to put the value back in the value meal after years of price hikes. Kenny Choi in Los Angeles has more on the changes and the complaints that led to some of those changes. Kenny.
Jerika, good evening. McDonald's is set to launch its $5 value meal on Tuesday as more restaurant chains try to get back inflation-weary customers.
Americans crave fast food, but with higher prices, more and more simply aren't loving it.
It's expensive when we have to feed the whole family.
How do you know that? Yeah, what makes you say that?
Because the prices go up like every year.
Nearly 2/3 of fast food customers say they felt sticker shock at the counter this year. The cost of a quick meal is outpacing inflation, with prices up nearly 5% from a year ago.
Such a big jump recently. Maybe we're splitting meals more often, or we are a little bit more aware.
To fight the inflation fatigue Americans are feeling, McDonald's, Burger King, and other chains are launching combo meal deals. Starbucks is also offering a discount pairings menu.
This is not a war against one another. It's really just a response to grocery to get some of those customers back, particularly the lower income.
Hi, welcome. Talk about how you
Fast food chains hope these bargains boost sales as companies try to offset their own higher food and labor costs. But customers may need to grab these deals before they're gone.
This $5 natural meal, it's a temporary thing. It's just, I doubt it's going to last more than a month.
And according to a recent Lending Tree survey, 75% of people in this country eat fast food at least once a week. So, Jerika, America is still hungry for a quick meal.
Yeah, I'd say so. Kenny Choi, thank you. And tonight in London, check out this surprise. It happened at Taylor Swift's concert at Wembley Stadium. Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce showed up on stage in costume with a top hat, to the delight of fans and, of course, Taylor Swift. Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, anger and a search for answers after Philadelphia College abruptly shuts down. Welcome back. The end of the school year is usually a time for celebrations, but not for students at the Arts College in Philadelphia after it suddenly closed permanently. CBS's Errol Barnett visited the campus, which has become home to ongoing demonstrations.
Shock and outrage spilled across Hamilton Hall at Philadelphia's University of the Arts after students and faculty learned this year's graduating class would be the last at the almost 150-year-old institution. In a statement on its website, the university blamed years of declining revenue and increasing expenses, adding recently it could not come up with money to bridge the financial gap.
This can't be real.
Dance major Amanda Radigan would have been a senior this fall.
to feel that they could take away something so important to us all in a week was heartbreaking.
Professor of Theatre Design Nick Embry is also the chapter chair of the Faculties Union, which is now suing the school.
We were here to teach something that we loved. And the idea that the whole institution is wiped away is just, it's gutting.
And consider this, when colleges close, fewer than half of students transfer to other schools. The rest will join the almost 40 million American students who attend some college and don't finish their degrees. Michael Pacho-Shamil worries he will become part of that statistic.
I don't know if I can afford college at all after this, because we have had no word about whether other universities are going to match our scholarships or not.
The university announced this week it's partnering with 8 nearby schools where students can continue their degree, but no parameters have been made public. University of the Arts joins a number of other private nonprofit schools that closed this year.
It's really all about finances. It's either they're not having enough revenue come in, or they're spending too much money.
The now former students are left to funnel frustrations into protest.
It's more than just training, it's about making art.
A potential deferment of dreams. Errol Barnett, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Well, to the weekend box office now, and a new record set by Inside Out 2. The Pixar sequel collected an estimated $100 million in its second week of release. That is a record for any animated movie. Inside Out 2 is also projected to reach the $1 billion mark globally, which would make it the first film since Barbie to do so. Coming up next on the CBS Weekend News, it's all aboard with a new way to ride the Napa Wine Train. Stay with us. We end tonight in California's Napa Valley. It's a region about 50 miles northwest of San Francisco, best known for its beauty, ideal climate, and bounty of wineries, more than 400 at last count. CBS's Danya Backus takes us aboard an old ride powered in a new way to see it all.
Welcome aboard. It's a new path for an old ride. Napa Valley's wine train has gone green.
It is right now the cleanest diesel engine in its class in the world.
For 35 years, the luxury train has been wining and dining passengers, chasing stunning views across vast vineyards. Now it's riding into the future with a newer, cleaner locomotive. One that uses less fuel, has near zero emissions, and follows stringent Environmental Protection Agency standards. Nathan Davis is the Napa Valley Wine Train's general manager.
If you were to literally count the amount of exhaust, it's zero when it comes out. It's that clean.
That means goodbye to those iconic puffs of billowing black smoke.
It's nice driving this in the valley and not having a cloud of smoke.
Engineer Artemis Rogerson has lived in Napa for years.
People would complain sometimes about the train going by, so it's nice having this.
Another perk, a smoother ride.
Trains are usually, like noisy and bumpy. Does it make a difference in terms of
It does, yes, we believe it does, especially with the sound of the diesel motor when it's running. You just don't hear it.
Davis plans to turn his whole fleet green by 2025. For now, this engine is leading the way, renamed 1864 for the rail line's founding year.
Does this ever get old?
Never. It's fun every day. Beautiful territory. I got the coolest job in Napa.
The classic train now on a slightly different track.
It's a slow-moving industry, but when we move, we get momentum going and we just keep plowing ahead.
A symbol of vintage opulence. Now full speed ahead to a cleaner future. Danya Backus, CBS News, Napa Valley.
And who doesn't want a smoother ride? Well, that's the CBS Weekend News for this Sunday. I'm Jerika Duncan in New York. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.